Well, today's deep dive is all about how people react to AI that tries to express emotions, especially with its voice.
Oh, it's a fascinating area for sure. It really makes you think differently of how we approach AI, you know? We often get so caught up in the logic, the processing power, all that.
Right?
But then this idea of understanding and responding to emotions, it adds a whole other layer.
Absolutely. And we've got some really cool research from Virginia Tech to dig into today. They used two very different robots. NAO, have you heard of it?
Yeah, the humanoid one.
That's the one, sleek design. And then they had Pleo, which is just this adorable little dinosaur robot.
Cute little guy.
And they had these robots express a bunch of emotions, joy, anger, even disgust, all using different types of voices too.
Yeah.
Imagine like a spectrum, right?
Okay.
A regular human voice on one end, and then that super robotic text-to-speech on the other.
Right, right.
And then somewhere in between, they had these characterized voices.
Interesting.
So like a really expressive human voice, maybe even a little theatrical or, a cartoonish dino voice. And what they found really challenges some of our assumptions about how we connect with AI emotionally.
Oh, I bet.
Like, get this, people were consistently better at recognizing emotions from Pleo, the dinosaur robot,
Really?
than from NAO, the more
Ugh.
human-like one.
Wow. You'd think it would be the opposite. I mean, we're hardwired to understand human faces and voices.
Right,
but-
exactly. So why would a dino be more expressive?
Right. That's the question, isn't it? The researchers think it might be because of our preconceived notions about dinosaurs.
Okay.
We think of them as big, scary, or maybe even goofy and lovable. So maybe those emotions just stand out more to us. It's like, how much do our own biases, what we already bring to the table,
Right.
how much of that colors how we see AI trying to express itself?
That's so interesting. So it's like we might understand the dino's emotions better, but
Yeah.
did people actually prefer that really exaggerated, like, dino voice?
Well, that's where things get even more interesting.
Yeah.
And that's like a huge question for AI development going forward, because if we're drawn to these natural sounding voices, are we kind of, I don't know, are we forcing AI into this box of familiarity, even if other approaches might work better?
It's like we're projecting our own preferences onto them, even though they're, machines. Which actually, that makes me wonder, did the researchers, like, always pair those different voices with the robots? Or did they ever have the voices stand on their own, without the visuals?
That's actually exactly what they wanted to look at in their second study. They wanted to really isolate the impact of the voice itself, get rid of any visual cues.
Oh, clever.
Yeah, so they had people listen to the same four voice types: regular human, the characterized human-like and dino voices, and then the plain TTS. But this time, no robots, just the audio.
Interesting. So just disembodied voices,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like what we're used to with, like, smart speakers and virtual assistants and all that.
Exactly. And even without the robots right there in front of them, people were still drawn to that natural-sounding human voice, or rated it as more likable, more trustworthy.
Fascinating.
Which I think really gets at this deep need we have for connection, even when we know it's a machine.
It's true. It's like we can't help but look for that human element.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm curious, without actually seeing that cute little dino, did people still understand those exaggerated dino voice emotions better?
Well, this is where the findings get really interesting. Without Pleo, that advantage the dinosaur-like voice had, completely gone. Yep. Once it was just the audio, people didn't find those exaggerated emotions any easier to recognize.
Wow. So it's like seeing Pleo actually, like, primed our brains to hear emotion in those squeaks and growls, even when they were super over the top.
It seems like it, yeah.
But take away that visual cue, and suddenly our brains are struggling to decode it. Makes you wonder how much visual design plays into all of this, not just the voice itself.
It's huge, and it's something that's going to be more and more important as we have more AI voices in our lives, in our homes, our cars, everywhere. The way these devices look, their design, it's all going to influence how we experience and understand AI emotions.
Right. It's like setting the stage for an AI performance almost.
Exactly.
The voice is the actor, but if you don't have the right costumes, the right set design.
The message gets lost.
Exactly. It's got to be this whole package, where the design and the voice are working together to create this, like, seamless, believable experience.
Absolutely. 100%.
So we've talked about AI expressing emotions, but this whole, like, visual design thing, it makes me wonder, can AI understand our emotions? Like, in a real conversation going back and forth.
Well, that's what's so cool about this last study. It takes it beyond like a one-way street of expression. It looks at how we react to robots when we're actually having a conversation with them.
Okay, so how do you even study something like that? Do you just, Like, stick people in a room with robots and say, all right, chat it up.
Haha, basically. But they did it in a really clever way. They had people read classic fairy tales out loud to the robots.
Fairy tales. Interesting choice.
Yeah, like The Three Little Pigs, The Boy Who Cried Wolf, that kind of thing.
Huh. Kind of wholesome, actually.
Right, but it makes sense when you think about it. Fairy tales have this really clear range of emotions. You've got joy, fear, surprise. It's all there, ready to be tapped into.
Clever. So as people were reading, did the robot, like, chime in with comments and stuff?
Exactly. At certain points in the story, the robots would make a comment. Sometimes it was neutral, just an observation, but other times it was designed to convey an emotion connected to what was happening in the story.
Okay, I see. So, like, if the big bad wolf was about to blow the house down, the robot might say something like, uh-oh, look out, in a scared voice.
Yeah, exactly. And they use those same four voice types to see how those subtle differences and how the emotion was expressed, how those affected things.
Got it, got it. So it's not just about whether the robot conveyed the right emotion, but how it actually made people feel about the robot. Like, did they seem more trustworthy, maybe even likable?
Exactly. And the results pretty much lined up with the other studies. Even in a more conversational setting like this, people still strongly preferred the robots with the natural-sounding human voices. Thought they were more likable, more trustworthy, even more attractive.
It's amazing how much a voice can influence our perception,
Totally.
It's like, even though we know it's just an algorithm, we can't help but sort of anthropomorphize. But what about the robots with those exaggerated, like, character voices? Was there ever a time when those were seen as a positive thing?
Yeah, actually, there was something interesting there. So yeah, overall, people preferred those natural voices, but there were times when people felt they understood the exaggerated voices better.
Really?
When the emotion was really strong, like urgent,
Ah, so there is a time and a place for a little AI drama,
Huh.
especially if it needs to get our attention or, warn us about something.
Exactly. It shows how important it is to really match how the AI is communicating to the situation, to the context. Like a calm, human-like voice, that might be perfect for a task where you just want to relax, but when you need your AI to like really break through, get you to act,
Yeah.
a more exaggerated voice might be the way to go.
It's like we don't need our GPS freaking out when we miss a turn, but maybe we do need it to sound a little, I don't know, more assertive if we're about to, like, drive off the road.
100%. And it really highlights this need for AI voices to not only be expressive, but like smart about it. They need to be contextually appropriate. They need to get the message across,
Yeah.
but in a way that makes sense for what users want and expect.
So where does all this leave us? What does this research tell us about, the big picture of AI, especially as it becomes more and more a part of our everyday lives?
I think it shows us that we're not just building technology here, we're shaping how humans and machines are going to relate to each other. It's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it is.
The way AI talks to us, the emotions it shows, even the way these devices look, it all matters. It all plays a part in how we see AI and whether we accept it, into our lives.
It's a lot of responsibility, honestly. It's not just about picking a voice assistant anywhere. It's about choosing what kind of relationship we want to have with AI in general.
And that's such a powerful thing to think about. As we move into this world that's only going to have more and more AI, we have a real chance to build these technologies in a way that makes our lives better, that builds trust. We can create AI that doesn't just compute, but connects with us, on a human level.
I love that. So to everyone listening, next time you're talking to your AI, whatever it might be, take a second and really listen. What emotions are you picking up on? What kind of personality is coming through? Because honestly, what you hear, it just might give you a glimpse into the future you want to build with AI. This has been an amazing deep dive. Until next time, keep those questions coming, stay curious, and let's all work towards a future where tech doesn't just talk to our heads, but speaks to our hearts too.